All right, everybody, welcome to the Comeback Culture Podcast. I am your host, Mr. Kevin Comeback, one half of the Comeback Culture Podcast. And who do we have here with us as my co host?
Checking in here, Connor Martin, the other half of the podcast here, man. I'm excited to be here, man. I'm excited.
Yes, sir. Uh, Me and Connor have become so unbelievably close. Guys, what we really want to do here is we got kind of an intro podcast or an intro episode, sorry. Um, and where we really want to go with this, Connor and myself are both ex-athletes. We are both now life insurance uh, business owners, entrepreneurs. So, this podcast is really going to be centered around entrepreneurship, life insurance, mindset, um, you know, mental health. It's going to kind of stem off all of those things. Um, like I said, we were both ex-athletes, so we are going to have a lot of conversation around that. Why do athletes do good in business, and we're also going to have a lot of fun with it too. We want to bring value to our listeners here, as far as business, as far as entrepreneurship, life insurance. But we also want to show our true selves. We like to joke around. We like to, have fun as well. So, in today's episode, we really just wanted to kind of introduce ourselves. And from there, we're going to have a guest on, pretty much every episode. Some guests you will have definitely have heard of before. Other guests, maybe you haven't heard of them, but they are all going to be high level people, high level business owners, high level athletes, people in a space where they are at the top of their game. Um, with that being said, Connor, can you tell our viewers here kind of how you went from, I know my story, I can get to that, but tell our viewers kind of how you went from playing basketball in Illinois to, now being a multi-million dollar business owner, and kind of, give people your story here, because, I
Yeah.
think that's going to bring a lot of value to some people listening here.
Yeah, so right when I graduated college, I had some really nice corporate job offers. I didn't take any of them. I've been in 100% commission jobs since I graduated college just because I knew that was the route I wanted to take and that was the only route I was going to take. But it wasn't easy at start. I was in recruiting jobs, Indeed postings, making anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 on a draw. So that's where I started. I came across a business model that we're currently in with using Go High Level CRMs, AI text blasting, and now we're in created an insurance agency and seeing a lot of success. So I took the riskier route. Most people end up settling for that corporate, they get the job offer, they get the 9 to 5 and, more power to them with the benefits and the whole 9 yards there. But, I knew I had a long-term vision. I just didn't know what that vision completely was. So, trial and error was the biggest thing for me, but I've definitely found a home here in the insurance industry.
Well, I think it's funny too that you say that, because it's like, and it's not just athletes, I think, although, I think it's anybody that really has had to commit their life to, doing things without knowing what the result's going to be, i.e. an athlete going to the gym, working out, to maybe play good in the game, right?
Exactly.
So I think I think you're with me here on that, in the sense of, and I think a lot of people in today's age, kind of, they settle, right? They settle for what's easy, and in reality, that's not necessarily gonna bring, you know, the highest results. So it's like, and Connor, you're a little younger than me too, so it's like,
Yeah,
you know, you know, agree or disagree with me here on, you know, fresh out of college or around that time when you're in your, low 20s, there's no better time to take a risk, right? You know what I mean? So it's like,
exactly, exactly. And I don't think any million like yeah, and you could attest to this, millionaires, billionaires, I don't they didn't get their wealth by settling. I don't think you if you went up to a millionaire today and you asked him one question, hey, did you settle to get to where you're at today? I don't think any of them would say yes. So I've always thought that same thing. I didn't come from a lot of money. Your situation's a little, similar to not coming from the most richest background, middle class people. So what can you do different? What can you learn from other people's one mistakes? And two, what can you learn from things that they've done in the past, good or bad, and use all that information and try to set yourself up for the next, 30,
well,
40, 50 years of your life.
I think too, it's like I think a lot of people out there, and hopefully, this can bring value to some viewers here. Is you don't always need to know what the end result's going to be, right? Like you should be able to jump into something and know, obviously you have to know what the opportunity holds, right?
Yeah.
But you shouldn't need to necessarily know what that, I think a lot of young people too, especially, oh, if I do this, I'm going to need this. It's like,
Hmm.
you know, where it really should be, I'm going to jump in. I have this good opportunity. And if I put all of my everything into this, then what I'm going to get out of it is going to speak for itself. Right. So
Yeah.
it's, I think that's why, I think me and Connor get along so well. Is, obviously we have the sports connection, right, guys? But I think it's the ability to not have to know exactly,
Yeah.
what, and in reality, Connor, that comes from sports, right? So, you
Yeah.
playing basketball, you were basketball, I was a hockey player. We go to the gym all week, we work our butts off all week, we train all summer, this, that, the other thing, to maybe play good,
Yeah. Or
right?
maybe win.
Or
Yeah.
maybe win, or maybe get to the next level. But we have
Yeah.
no idea if that's going to happen, right? So, I think, and that's not to say somebody who didn't play sports can't be successful. I just think that, you know, for the people listening to this episode, that, it's important to understand that you don't, you shouldn't be worried about that end result, right? Like you should
Yeah.
be worried about the process. And if you do the little process day by day, those results will come, right? And
Yeah.
I think you spoke on it. You mentioned it. And I want you to speak on it. What's that? You know, tell everybody listening, what's it like being in 100% commission sales? Is that nerve wracking? Is that speak on that a little bit?
Yeah.
Because coming from somebody who is at the tippity top of uh, success and only getting better, and that's crazy to even say because of where you're at now. But speak on that. What's that like?
Yeah. So, I think most people look at it as like a scarcity and they're scared. They can describe 100% commission job as scary. I look at it as I look at it as fun. I think it's amazing. I think it's fun because there's nothing else in the world. There's no other job or model where it's uncapped. And I know that's cliche to say because, the 100% commission, but I just look at it like a game. Every single Monday, every single month, every single year, we go into the dark. But when you have people around you that are willing to go into the dark with you, it makes those opportunities, um, easier. I think that's why, again, why me and Kevin get along is we're not afraid of the dark. Every single Monday we have no sales. It doesn't matter if Kevin did 20,000 last week. Doesn't matter if I did X last week. It doesn't matter. People are looking at the results today and tomorrow. So I think that's something that you have to get over that mindset. Like you might not make, you might lose money, but you can't let these days and weeks, get up here. That's what, again, where athletes are really good at these type of jobs is because if I miss a shot to start the game, is that going to affect the rest of my shots the rest of the game? If you're a good player, no. If you have had struggles and you're a mentally, you're not as tough of a player, you might have a bad game. So that's why I think that we get along so great is because we're willing to go into the dark together. We're willing to sacrifice, comfort for a longevity plan.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more, my man. It's like too, at the same time, it's like, I think, and college is great, right? I think, we both have college degrees and that's awesome. But I truly believe sales is one of the best routes to go. And then specifically, to me, and correct me if I'm wrong here, really there's three sales kind of gigs that in today's age and going forward are going to continue to grow. To me, that's tech, that's energy, and that's life insurance. The difference between life insurance and the other two, life insurance has been around for 200 years and it's only growing more. The
Yeah.
other two are great industries, but they're still new, right? Energy and tech is 20 years old. That's a new industry.
Yeah.
You can do great in those industries, and I'm sure we'll have somebody on here in the near future that is in those industries. But that's why I think, and I think maybe you too. I don't want to speak for you, but the life insurance is such a good opportunity because it has that track record of the
Yeah.
200 of being around 200 years, but also it's only it feels like it's only getting started.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
continuing to.
And I'd say they're all very volatile industries, but I feel like with life insurance, when you can mix like a really, really good work ethic, you can sort of control that volatility where, there's extra like there's no other business. There's not as I wouldn't say there's none. There's not how many businesses can you call, unless you already have big partnerships going, what type of business can you call strangers? You can call people at 9, 10 p.m. on the East Coast, make a $1,500 commission check because you're talking and helping families in California. There's not many opportunities like that where if you have the grit, you have the will, if you are willing to work even 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. to work all coasts, like sky's the limit. So, I would definitely want to, we don't know too much about the tech and energy commission jobs, but from speaking from our position, it's very unique and it just offers a great opportunity for literally anyone.
And and going off that too is what business can you start with a couple $1,000s? You start this business with a couple $1,000s for leads. What business can you start for, you know what I mean? If you wanted to go start an HVAC company tomorrow, you need almost $500,000, trucks, equipment,
Yeah,
this, you know what I mean? What business
yeah,
can you start and grow and scale with next to no money? That's the only one that I know of, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and I think that's where young people really need to understand the opportunity of life insurance, and of course I want to talk about life insurance on our podcast, but I want to I also want to get people's perspective. But what life insurance is it's a business. You're your own business owner. I'm my own business owner, right? So it's like we are entrepreneurs. Yes, we're in sales, right? Yes, we sell insurance over the phone virtually, but we are entrepreneurs. We own a business. We grow a team. We grow an agency. And can you speak a little bit? I know what mine is, but what's your and somebody who's in their low 20s that's not quite where you're at can get some value out of this. What's your long-term plan, Connor?
yeah,
Do you have an exit plan? Do you have a what does your next 10 years and 15 years look like in your eyes, right? And I know that's gonna, maybe change, right? But like
yeah,
everybody has to have a plan, right?
yeah, yeah. Great question. Just with people in this company, people I've talked to learn, um, a 5 to 7 year plan is just growing this thing out, getting a business doing anywhere from $5 to $10 million a month in life insurance production, and then having the opportunity to sit at the table to have talks with private equity, and then again hitting quotas, having them come in, having an exit plan where I'm taking lump sums, where I'm taking portions of the sums, still maintaining that business, but it's slowly exiting due to the position we're in where we own our book of business and being able to have the opportunity to sell, to private equity companies. From there, honestly, the sky's the limit. It's a lot easier, and most people know this. It's easier to make money when you already have the money, especially at large scales. So, anywhere from real estate to food to the food industry, trucking, there's infinite amounts of ways to make money, and the connections I'm going to make along the way are going to open so many doors for me. I've already
Right.
made really good connections being here 8 months, so I can't even imagine, 5
What's it?
years. Yeah,
Right.
what type of connections, what type of handshakes I'll have. So that's my long-term play. I'm 24, so looking at, anywhere from 30 to 34 exiting the life insurance space. But, with that being said, it's easier to sit here and talk about it. But,
Yeah.
who's willing to show up 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. every single day to make that happen? Not a lot
Yep.
of people, and not a lot of people have the opportunity that people have. And Kevin, he's in a, we can go. I want to ask you a couple questions too on your
Yeah.
situation, but
Yep.
a lot of people can't take those risks because they have too much overhead. They have too much. They have kids. They have this, that, and third. So, Kevin, you're a sort of a unicorn in this term where you've had a lot of things happen to you, and you were working aluminum, kind of found this opportunity, and then just hit the ground running. So, can you talk about how you where you were at before this, just a little bit about where you were before and how you were able to hit the ground running, and what's that look like for other people that do have kids, that do have mortgages, that do have all those things.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and over time in more episodes, I'll go into more in depth about what I'll touch on quickly is so, after college, when hockey ended, I actually thought hockey was going to be a career. It didn't work out for me, but I actually owned an installation company for a lot for quite a long period of time, and it was doing really well. We were up to about doing 5 million in revenue a year, and in all transparency, I was had a little bit of an alcohol issue, and I had gotten in trouble while drinking and lost my business. And episodes to come, I will get into my whole story because I think it's going to help people. But so fast forward, I lose my business. I'm back to square one. Um, Hence the comeback culture name of the podcast, right? Um, Back to square one. I have 3 kids, or 2 kids and a pregnant fiance. And I'm like, what the heck am I going to do? Um, you know, am I going to go get a minimum wage? I lost my house. I lost everything. Am I going to go get a minimum wage job? Am I going to go? So I had ended up finding I had my life insurance license. Just quickly got it after college while I was figuring things out. Never really followed up with it, but I had it.
Utilize it, yeah.
So fast forward, all those things happen. I find Connor on TikTok, which is the beauty of social media. You can meet somebody across the country and become you know, closer than ever. That's what's crazy to me. And I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to talk about the power of social media too. But
Yeah.
so found Connor, saw what he was doing, had a chance to talk to him. Really right away, pretty much knew, all right, this guy is very similar to me. I think we are very similar in a lot of ways. Um, and Yeah, so I knew that I just like yourself. I didn't want to be capped. I'm not scared of risk. Um, but that being said, guys, for anybody listening that has 3 kids, that has a mortgage, that has responsibilities, Yes, I understand that, those things have to be taken care of. But if you never take a risk and you just sit there and think about it forever, time is just going to pass you by. It's just going to pass you by. So I looked at it. I said, okay, I got a 5-year old, I got a 2.5-year old, and I got an 18-month-old baby. What's my best situation? What's my worst case and best case situation here? They're still young. We can still figure things out, right? They're not 10, 15, 20. They're still young. I have time bills are low as far as, having 3 kids and them still being young. I have time. It's time to take a risk. If I don't do it now, these kids will grow up and be 15 and watch their dad go to a minimum wage job for the rest of his life, right? So I think it comes down to whatever your why is. One, you have to find a strong why, right? But you need to be able to just take that risk, because think about it, guys, everybody listening. If you don't take that risk, like if you don't take that risk, right? Nothing's ever going to happen for you. You're going to stay where you're at, right? If you take a risk, yes, maybe it doesn't work out, but what you had is always going to be there. So why not take the risk to try to level up? And worst case scenario, okay, it doesn't work out, I go back to where I was. That's the
Exactly.
thing. That's the thing that's crazy to me about risk is like, what is risk? What does risk even mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's not really a risk. As risk is not really as scary as people think it is, because it's like you go after it. One, make it happen, but two, your worst case scenarios, you go back to what you're doing. But with that being said, I truly believe if you're going to take a risk or you're going to do something, you have to have plan A and plan A only.
Yeah.
Of course, you need to know what your worst case scenario is, but you can't go into something, okay, I'm going to have plan A, plan B, and plan C. It's plan A, and plan A is working out. That's it. You know what I mean? And if you have that mindset, you're much more likely to succeed. Um, and look what's happening, guys. I took that risk. Now I have a best friend, a mentor, somebody that I can be with every day. We're both
Yeah.
killing it. This podcast is going to grow. And that all comes from just making one decision to say, hey, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
and I think too, on the podcast and the power, and yeah, we'll definitely have another episode on the power of social media, but just being able to, I don't like the word like the upline and the recruiting. I don't really like, I find that, as me having a higher power, which it's not like that, because someone under you can end up taking over your commissions. You could, if you build something bigger than someone that brought you in, you're now the upline. So I don't look at it like that. It's more so when I talk to people and do these type of things, it's like, hey, look, we both, a lot of people that are having success here were in your exact shoes 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. So it's more so sharing the opportunity of how special what we do and the model we do and how we run our business and who is leading our business. And the people at the very top are, Christ-centered, very, very, very great people, is being able to not just recruit you into here to make $200 here or there on a override commission. It's, hey, we're building something special with people that we can actually be with and, be family with for the next 5 years while we have an exit plan, and then, the rest of our lives. So I think it's more
Right.
so just sharing, hey, look what we're doing. Whatever you do with with whatever we give you, our model, that's up to you. You're always going to make your best business decision for what you think is, but hey, at least check us out and take it with a grain of salt. But I just love how we are able to do that for people and change people's lives.
100%, man. I think it's so fulfilling and so rewarding to see someone come in and that's hungry and started from nothing and take this opportunity and run with it. And I don't think people really understand how good the opportunity that we have until they really see it. But yeah, I just think it's unbelievable, man. And I think that it's the future's so bright as we continue to work together in this business and we continue to grow this podcast. Guys, we have some super good people coming on, some people that are well known, famous athletes, business owners. Our next episode, guys, this one will drop by the end of today, Tuesday, July 14th. Our next episode, guys, we are going to have a guy by the name of Richie Crayhall on, multi-million-dollar business owner. Something I admire about Richie, Connor knows him as well. Such a hard worker, super good energy, but such a level-headed person.
Very, very.
Always just kind of in the middle, and that's always been crazy to me. And I look at it as a skill to have super high energy, to have enthusiasm, but also kind of be here and
Yeah.
contrast both of those things. To me, is a skill, I guess, because I don't do that as well as other
Yeah.
people. But Richie will be our guest. You guys are gonna, all our viewers are gonna get a ton of value out of Richie. I know Connor has a few things to say about Richie, but
Yeah.
has grown. He's been in door to door. He has been in other things, and now he has a multi-million-dollar business, and he is just killing it. And
Yeah. Yeah. As we kind of wrap up this first one, because I know we're attacked today, and there's been a lot of great sauce in here so far. But one thing I will add on Richie is just the humbleness. Being in the game and he sold, and this is just a preview of what's to come. But this guy sold the most in the company, and you wouldn't know it if you went up to him. And those are and bringing sauce from every other team and pouring it into his guys. So. Great, great, great guy. I'm excited for that episode as well. But as we kind of wrap this one up, I think with viewers here, if you guys made it to the end here, this is going to be something that, whether you get into insurance, whether you learn about it, whether it's not, you can apply a lot of these concepts to your life and your business. And you're not going to be alone in a lot of these situations where, it sucks. When you graduate college, you don't have anyone say, hey, show up to biology 101. It's warfare. It's warfare. So, and everyone's been there. Everyone's been there. Everyone's going to continue to go there. It's just if you can, what I think I'm really good at is learning, like not like talking so much, just ask as many questions and take as much information you can from everyone else who's
yep,
made the mistakes, who's had success straight out of college. I have a buddy who, has a huge AI company. He's the one that told me to get into social media. This is the fastest way to make money in this $1 trillion industry, social media. So just having conversations, listening, I think this podcast can be great, Kevin.
that's what I
I,
mean.
I
That's why
like,
I totally agree. As we wrap up, I totally agree. Is whether you're in life insurance or not, this is applicable to everything, business, life, everything. But yeah, guys, 100% what Connor said. I will end with champions aren't built on game day. They're built in the work nobody sees. That's where we want to close it out, I think, Connor. And we will see you guys on the next episode of Comeback Culture featuring Richie Crayhall. Let's do it, baby. Boom.
that's what I want, man.
See you guys.